The sentence "green was a great experience" should never be uttered in that order.
No.
I mean, it was a great experience in the sense that we get to see your guys' reactions.
Craig's a troll. Craig is a low, like, he hides. He pretends to be this nice dude, but he's secretly here for the memes. He secretly is just here to be a troll.
I'm the trash man.
Hello, and welcome to Annie Chatbox, where 5 friends, or specifically today 4 friends, snuggle up in a teeny tiny space to talk about all things anime. I'm your host, Cassie, today on the lovely episode 131, which is really exciting. We're so close to 150. I can feel it coming. It's just so far on the horizon, but it's close enough that I can see it. I'm very excited. Also excited with me is the lovely, wonderful Jonathan Joestar.
Heyo, I'm here.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure I am.
God, I hope so. The real twist of Annie Chatbox is that none of us were actually here except John the entire time. This is the part of Spook Month where we reveal that all of us are actually being channeled through a Ouija board.
It's terrifying.
It's great.
That's terrifying.
Craig, being terrified in his corner with his cape and his fangs, is here as well.
Bleh! How are you? I can't do a stereotypical Dracula voice anymore. Hi, everyone. I was gonna continue the trend of being unenthused, but Cass tricked me.
Yeah, that's what I do. It's trick-or-treat month, baby, and I got all the tricks.
God damn it.
You should have quoted Dracula from Castlevania.
Or just fucking Sesame Street.
There's a difference. That's the Count, not... Is he Count Dracula?
Yes, that's the joke.
Okay.
He's the Count. But the joke is he's the Count that counts. But he's modeled after Dracula. I'm not going to explain Sesame Street. I just can't do it. This isn't the time or the place. Speaking of tricks, Cammy, how's tricks?
I am but a figment of your imagination.
Yo.
Welcome, everybody. What's up?
I knew it.
Yo.
I fucking knew it.
Yo.
I've known it for years.
Yo, who's had Trix cereal in the last couple of years? Because I haven't. I remember that shit being the bomb.
I just have to say, Cammy finally coming out that she was never there, ever, makes sense, because there's no way someone so perfect can actually exist.
I was gonna say that.
Ha-ha!
You found out my secret! I disappear! Boom!
That's high praise.
Aw. Nah. I am here, I am real, and I'm surrounded by people I love. Glad to be here, y'all.
I'm glad to hear it. And I'm glad today to be talking about one of my favorite shows from this year and just in general. And that is Mob Psycho. Normally we would have a topic, but due to the fact that I feel like we're going to have a lot of conversation around this and we do want to have not necessarily a big spoiler room, but enough for everybody to talk, we're not going to have a topic today. So if you are angry at us for doing so, please write us a lengthy email at anniechatmail@gmail.com and I promise I'll read it.
Indeed.
Just for you, baby. But getting us rolling right into it, today we're going to be talking about Mob Psycho 2, the second series. It aired in winter of 2019, so beginning of this year. And it was produced by Studio Bones. And Studio Bones has made a lot of really kick-ass shit, if I do say so myself. They're the studio responsible for Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Noragami, and Kekai Sensen. All very good shows. I believe. I haven't actually watched all of Kekai Sensen, but I've heard really good things from people here.
They also did that My Hero thing. It's currently airing. What's up?
The what? I've never heard of what? It doesn't even exist.
It's about a soft boy who wants to become a superhero. He punches things. Then he learns how to kick.
Oh,
Speaking of...
sorry.
Go ahead.
Is that Boku no Pico Academia that we've talked so much
Yes,
about?
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
that one.
Thought so.
You mean the one that we can no longer review on this podcast because I've basically determined we can never talk about it again unless it gets bad because we're just going to say the same thing on repeat over and over and over again?
Basically.
That's the one.
That's the one.
Soft
That show is literally
Wi-Fi's new bones to
broken.
break.
It's basically broken our minds in that it's so good we can't really continue to review it anymore.
Yeah.
But speaking of soft boys who have supernatural or superpowers, let me talk to you a little bit about my boy Mob. So, synopsis goes as follows. Shigeo Mob Kageyama is now maturing and understanding his role as a supernatural psychic that has the power to drastically affect the livelihood of others. He and his mentor Reagan... God, goodness gracious, I forgot how to read. He and his mentor Reagan Arataka continue to deal with supernatural requests from clients, whether it be exorcising evil spirits or tackling urban legends that haunt the citizens. While the workflow remains the same, Mob isn't just blindly following Reagan around anymore. With all his experiences as a ridiculously strong psychic, Mob's supernatural adventures now have more weight to them. Things take on a serious and darker tone as the dangers Mob and Reagan face are much more tangible and unsettling than ever before. Pretty good mouse synopsis.
Yeah, succinct.
Especially for a season 2.
Yeah, normally it just says season 2 of Enter Show Here. So, we're getting... It's because Mob's so good. That's why they're like, this guy's got to have the star treatment, even in the My Anime List synopsis section. I'm blatantly biased, guys, but maybe not everybody else here is. So I'm going to step away from my podium that I'm waiting to get onto and open it up to everybody else to talk about how they felt about the story, its themes, and maybe even how you felt those themes may have carried over from season 1 to season 2.
Okay, so it's Mob as a whole rather than just season 2.
We're going to review season 2, but if you want to say that themes have grown or been, kind of built on since season 1, because I think there has been, you can discuss those things. I don't see any reason why you can't compare some stuff from one season to the other to talk about the second season.
Especially considering season 2 picks up right where season 1 ends.
Yeah, and I think what's really interesting to me, even though I said that I was going to shut up and let other people talk, you guys waited too long. You took too long. Now your candy's gone. That's what happened.
I'll say this for the comparisons. I don't know if it's a theme, but I remember season 1. That show aired in the summer of 2016. This aired the winter of 2019. That's a long-ass time, but I remember season 1 having a lot more battles and a lot more sequences where Mob would literally enter the 100 range, because that's the thing. His emotions, his powers are tied to his psychic or his emotional state, and he would always...
Well, that happens in season 2 as well.
It does, but not nearly as frequently, at least from what I remembered. But I think that season 2 at least seems to be a little bit more what's the word? Cathartic, I guess. But I could be wrong.
I could see where you're coming from there. I think that season 1 had a very clear theme of empathy and trying to help people embrace themselves, and to an extent Mob as well. He had a few breakdowns in season 1 where he had to find an answer for himself, but he never actually comes to any kind of solutions until season 2. Which is why I think the 2 seasons tie together very well, because I felt a little, I won't say unsatisfied with the end of season 1, but I felt like 1, it was abrupt. And 2, I felt like for Mob being the main character, I didn't feel like he was the main character most of the show. Whereas in the second season, he not only is carrying over some of his confusion and his worries about losing control that he did in season 1, but he also has to learn to stand up for himself or make decisions for himself or notice when he's uncomfortable. Or there were a few select episodes that kind of put him in a situation where if he didn't have the, support system that he did have currently, how he may have walked down a different path in life.
Oh, yeah.
And those were some of the most powerful episodes, I think, in the entire show as an entire franchise, because it makes us look at Mob as a character and how, as much as I love him as the most perfect soft boy to have ever lived and breathed, that he is a complex character outside of that initial shell that we're introduced to in the first season.
Yeah.
And I think the story builds around that a lot better in season 2 than it does in season 1, in my opinion.
It introduces the concept of, like, literal character growth. People can change. The concept of, like, good and bad in any sort of character, alive or dead, from what I recall from season 2.
Watching both seasons pretty much back to back, I do think the show does a really good job of introducing characters, giving them their arcs, but then when they've really had their arcs, they turn into a supporting character, and, like, not in a bad way, they're still great characters, but they basically are okay with saying, okay, we're going to put you a little bit more to the side so then we can have more time to develop these other characters. I think specifically in season 2, like, for example, like, Teru and Ritsu are kind of a lot more auxiliary, like, off to the side, because season 2 gives so much more room for Mob to breathe as a character, but also Reagan as well. They were featured in season 1, but they really get a chance to develop and grow as people and change in season 2. And I think that is something that was really well done. And, like, while there were times where I'm like, you know, I love this whole cast, honestly. And so I think I would always say I want to see them more. The show does a really good job of making sure that everybody has a chance in the spotlight.
Yeah, like, their arcs are over, but they are still growing. You still see them grow as people, even after their arcs are finished.
Yeah, very much so.
Another thing that season 2 does that season 1 did not is it gave me painfully long cliffhangers. Because I watched this weekly, and there were a few episodes where I was like, what the? And that's a good sign of a good show, because I'm really invested. There was a particular episode with a fire.
Yeah.
That, I lost my shit. I was like, wait, what? I have to wait a week to find out what's happening? I was so upset.
I had to go to work, and that was painful enough, because it was like, I gotta go to work, and then I'm gonna be sleeping as soon as I get home, because I'm gonna be too tired to focus on anything. And so I'm gonna have to watch this as soon as I get up again, and that is painful. How would I feel if I was watching this weekly?
Oh man, I just remember the Kitsu posts, Cassie, that you and Rin would make, like, every single week watching Mob and just, like, absolutely losing your minds. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be some intense stuff. And I can't say that I had to ever wait, but there were moments where the show really surprised me, and I was like, wait, they're not gonna do this, right? Like, they're really gonna do that? What the fuck? Like, yeah, you just have those moments of just kind of where it blows your expectations, or it questions your expectations. Like, I didn't know where the plot was gonna go, and that's actually something else that's really great, I think, about Mob's writing as a story.
For sure. And I think where I felt that the first season was a little bit sporadic in its storytelling. I think season 2 is also sporadic, but in a more, like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like I don't feel like I'm taking sudden sharp turns. Yeah. I feel like I'm being led somewhere purposely, and sometimes those places were shocking, but they never felt like I was being jerked from one storyline to the other, where I felt that way a couple of times in the first season, just because it would shift to different characters suddenly out of nowhere. Ritsu's arc was one of my favorite arcs in the first season, but it kind of felt like it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, or at least the prominence of it. Like, it lasted a very long time.
Yeah, whereas in season 2, I felt like everything kind of naturally built on itself, and also the stakes built on each other each time as well. The challenge that Mob as a character was facing continued to grow until he eventually has to kind of face himself in a way, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. One detriment to the storytelling, I was not a huge fan of the last couple of episodes, because I felt like the big bad, the big problem, the
antagonist.
I'm trying to find a way to say it without spoiling anything, but the way that it's all, like, it all plays out, like, I was satisfied with what the ending was, but I felt like it all happened too quickly.
Yeah.
Like, at one point, I was like, wait, what happened?
Yeah.
Because there's a big scene, and then suddenly
Yeah.
they're in a different location, and it felt like everybody was just suddenly there, and everyone was accepting of what was going on. I'm like, but I'm not. I'm an audience member, and I don't understand what's going on.
I remember binging the last, like, eventually the story kind of becomes, like, shonen-y in the sense of, like, yeah, they introduce the villains, and they're shown in the opening, and I was like, okay, when are we going to see these characters? And then it shows in the last 4 episodes, and yeah, I do agree. It kind of feels like, well, they just introduced them to have an opposition for the sake of the story here. It feels kind of like the same as season 1, where they're just like, okay, we're having misadventures, and then, oh, bad guys here.
Yeah, kind of, because it's like it feels like the show is very comedic for one. It's comedically looking at introspection, and it kind of uses those two kinds of feelings to build a story that's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the last kind of, like, arc, they always throw in this big bad, and I almost never feel completely satisfied with how the big bad is resolved.
It's essentially
for some
considering it turns into, literally, in this case, it's, oh, shonen battle escalations with espers. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. We get exposure to all the cast, but I'll be honest with you, like...
Well, I liked the fights, because
Yeah.
it had, like, really amazing choreography. I just
Yeah.
feel like the build-up to it wasn't there.
Yeah.
Or it wasn't well done, in my opinion.
It was just rushed a little bit.
I feel like that for me, the build up to the big bad in season 1 was done a little bit more gradually, just with how it intertwined for me with Ritsu's arc.
Yeah, I can get that.
In this one, it definitely felt really sudden, especially because it was like 3/4 of an episode focusing on one thing, and then, oh shit, man, like shit's hitting the fan. All right, here we go. And then it's like, this is your arc for the rest of the show. And
Yep.
so,
Yeah.
was a little bit jarring, but like, I think I feel very similar to you, Cassie, in that way, where it's like, I do like how it ended up. It just kind of was like, wait a second, how exactly did this play out again?
Yeah, it's like you're, like, on a trip, and you kind of fell asleep along the way or something, and suddenly you're in Utah, and you're not entirely sure how you got there. Like,
Yeah, well said.
but you weren't really asleep, but that's the only thing that makes sense, because you missed something somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, it's sort of like most of the build-up from... like, the build-up that was missing from Season 2 was kind of hidden in the background of Season 1, but sort of blink and you miss it moments.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of just like, oh, by the way, he's back. And it's like, who's back? What?
Yeah, actually, that's a question. Cammy, I guess, like, so, since you watched both seasons, did you feel like you were questioning this opposition in the background? You'd be like, when are they going to show back up again? Did in season 2, did it still feel unearned?
I think I don't think I really knew where it was going to go. I think from everything that I'd heard people say about season 2, I actually thought season 2 was just going to be ultimately a lot of introspection and like getting again into kind of Mob's emotional and character development, which I think it does, but I thought it was going to do it primarily through like more human stories, like less on the, hey, let's do some Esper fights. But then I was like, okay, we're just treading this ground again. I do vaguely remember this character, though unfortunately, I still don't feel like I fully understand them. I'm talking about a specific redheaded boy.
Same. I still have no idea what his motivations are.
Yeah.
I sort of do, but I don't. Like, they explain his relation to the antagonist and like why it's important, but again, it feels so like you're just given a couple of granules of food.
Yeah.
Chew on.
So, I mean, who knows if that's different in the manga. I think my favorite parts of this show, story-wise, were the more introspected, the more grounded. Basically, like, pretty much most of the first half of the show was probably my favorite as far as stories go.
It was funny.
Agreed.
It was funny because I actually had to take notes in order to remember exactly, like, because I remember key scenes in the show which were like accidentally done, but it's interesting. I liked a lot of the quieter moments rather than the shonen escalation, which is what we're all in. It seems like we're all in agreement on. So.
Yeah. I don't think it was bad. It's just I wish we had
Mm-hmm.
more of the first half that, like Cammie said, was really appreciated. I still had such a good goddamn time through the whole story. I'm just trying to find nitpicks because after story I got nothing. So I gotta do it here.
Yeah.
I still think it was a very enjoyable story from beginning to end and one that makes me think a lot. And I feel like I'll probably go back to. Once season 3 comes out, I'll just rewatch the whole show again.
Do it.
You guys want to move to characters?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do
Sure.
it.
Oh, this is gonna be my favorite.
Gonna be your
Craig,
favorite?
tell me about our good old con man over there.
I'm just saying he is a good boy, and why did he get an arc dedicated to trying to make himself or humanize him is beyond me, but they did it, and I was over here like, well, okay, I care more about him. I only cared about him on a surface level as the shitlord that he is, but
Reagan?
Yeah, Reagan. Arataka Reagan, to be exact, but yeah, he had an arc which actually made me kind of be like, shit, yeah. He's actually a half-decent human being. Me and Kemi actually even talked about it last night. He has some choice lines in that arc which are really nice. I actually even wrote them down. I like the fact that he's so over the top and he just sells it like his con man, his scheme to a point where he's like, I'm the world's greatest Esper/psychic and I have special techniques that are framed in such a way that it makes it look like he's doing good damage against the opponent, but he's really not. So that's why I nominate Arataka Reagan as best boy. Thank you for attending my TED Talk. Have a nice day.
I love his random
I
hand
respect-
flourishes.
Yeah, he
His
does those a
fucking
lot.
hand motions are the best.
He's so fabulous. I also would love to get a massage from him.
Mhm.
Like,
Mm.
he seems like he's really good with his hands.
Not gonna lie, like I fucking love Reagan a lot. He's one of my favorite characters. He, I think for me, more than like, I mean, I think one of the strengths of the show with the characters is that they aren't anything like archetypes. They have a lot of depth to them. I never knew how to read Reagan's character, like, ever. There are a lot of like things that they do with him, and I never knew how he was going to like handle a situation. And so it was just kind of a fun like adventure watching and then being like, what the fuck is he gonna do now? Okay, there's this. Another thing that I love about him is that he never, like, call him a con artist, call him the world's best bullshitter, which I believe is completely true, but like he never gives up. He never says, that's it, I'm done. He almost always has like a rationalized idea or finds a way to assess and try to handle a situation. And I'm like, that's fucking impressive, because like I'm just like, nope, time to fall asleep. Time to quit, time to give up. But he always is like, even if it's something dumb like punching someone in the face, he's like, okay, let's try this, let's try that. And that's pretty admirable. Also, there's a scene where he washes a dog and he's very nice to the dog, and I was like, what a good Shisho taking care of this dog. So, yes.
Oh, okay. I'm going to be the devil's advocate because I hated Reagan for a very long time.
I know you did.
I thought he was funny, but I hated that he was scamming my precious little son.
Right.
Because he looks up to him so much. So by the end of season 1, I had some respect for Reagan because of some of the lessons we find out that he did teach Mob are actually really good. Yeah. And also he basically whooped a bunch of kids into shape, and I just thought it was funny.
Oh, right.
But going into season 2, I was still kind of gray on him. And then they got to this little mini arc, and I was like, how did Reagan go from, like, the most awful human being in my mind to the most relatable person I have ever met?
Oh, God, his arc is so good.
It is. It's very palpable. And there's a conversation that he has with Mob afterwards where I feel like I got closure to the fact that Mob isn't as manipulated as I believe he is. And that made me feel a little bit better about the situation, because there was just something in the back of my head. I was laughing, but I'm also like, this 20-year-old is taking advantage of an innocent 16-year-old boy, and I can't get the ick factor off my brain.
Paying him 13 yen an hour.
Yeah, that's like literally nothing. But then I was like, okay, I understand why people love him. He's really funny. All of his scenes when he's scamming people are hilarious. There's one scene in particular where people try and scam Mob because he quote unquote broke a vase. And he comes in and saves the day completely through bullshitting. And I just wish that I had that level of bullshittery available in my arsenal. Or whatever. I have to painfully, like, respect him now. It just sucks. I want to hate him, but I can't anymore. It's fun.
Yeah. He's totally flawed. He's definitely flawed. I think he's just a case for me where I'm like, you are a flawed character, but I enjoy you. And I think especially, like you said, because also of, like, the bit of development and closure that we get for him and Mob in season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going through a similar thing with Reagan that I did with Bakugo from My Hero Academia.
Have you come... where are you with Bakugo? Angry explosion
Bakugo
boy.
Hated his guts. Now I'm like, okay, so maybe he's a good person. Maybe he just got some anger issues.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, I mean, I can go into an entire analysis of Bakugo's character on a different podcast, not this one, but...
Ah, yes.
It's just a similar mindset. I didn't like them at first, and then I grew to begrudgingly appreciate their character and their character development to the point where I can't hate them anymore, but God, I want to, but I can't because they're good.
Some characters are multifaceted, Cass. They're all characters aren't soft.
I think I'm also just mad because Bones tries so hard to make Reagan look sexy.
All right.
I hate it.
Here it is.
I hate it.
Why?
I hate it
Why?
so much. I hate it. Because you can tell that Bones themselves just have a hard-on for this con man.
They're just flexing a little bit with their animation department.
I can't tell if they, like, legitimately just lust for Reagan or if they're just purposely trying to make you, as the viewer, feel bad for lusting for Reagan.
I wonder.
Like,
I'm sure there's merch and there's body pillows out there for Reagan.
There are. I've seen them.
Oh, damn.
Do you all remember the redraw Reagan thing that, like, spread around Crunchyroll, where everyone was just, like, drawing Reagan in positions with, like, a bunch of stupid stock photos and shit?
Yeah, it was the best. I loved that. Reagan redraws, I think, was the hashtag on Twitter.
That's the power he has to move and shake people, even in terms of internet memes.
They have an entire... We didn't talk about in story, but they have, like, an entire, like, arc that's all about social media and its ability to create monsters, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, that's completely off topic. But yeah, he moves the internet, he moves my heart, and I hate that he does it.
It's okay, Cass. It's okay.
God damn it.
Tell us about your precious soft son.
I want to save him for last because it'll take a while.
It'll take 30 minutes.
John's been kind of quiet too, so why don't you talk to us about Ritsu?
Okay. So, yeah, Ritsu, Mob's little brother. Admittedly, a lot of the reasons why I like him are carryovers from season 1. After his arc. Ritsu started off as someone who was just there, to someone that I really didn't like, to someone that had a really redeeming, a lot of redeeming moments that won me over. And in this series, it just continues with him, like, looking out for Mob, but understanding when he needs to sort of back off and let Mob do his thing. And yeah, he just becomes a really supporting character, and just also sometimes he does go off on his own and tries to, and shows he is his own person. He doesn't just revolve around his big brother. He's kind of dead in the first season.
You know, it's funny because it's funny you bring that up, that he's the younger brother. I always thought of him as the older brother. Maybe that's because
I have to keep reminding myself. No, he's the younger brother of the two.
It's because he's displayed as so much more mature.
Yeah. And it's interesting in the fact that Ritsu is accomplished and Mob tries to go live up to him in a sense, try to better himself. Ritsu's got it all together, but in reality, the crux of Ritsu at the beginning was, I got an inferiority complex for my younger brother. So he's gone a long way, and he's friends with Teru. So there you go.
I think another go ahead, go.
I was just gonna say he's friends with everybody. I mean, I think season 2 proved that especially.
Yeah, he's friends with everyone, and also I think that something that a lot of people forget is that Ritsu, it wasn't always about his jealousy for Ma, but he was also recovering from trauma.
Oh yes, of the incident.
There was an incident that occurred, and it may have warped some of the feelings and emotions that he had, like real trauma does.
Yeah.
And I think trauma is a theme that is explored in a lot of characters in Mob Psycho, but Ritsu is one of the better, one of the best cases.
Yeah. And there was even a moment where in season 2 where that trauma does, he's not cured of it. It does sort of rear its head at one point again, which helps someone sort of snap out of it as well. Trying to avoid spoilers here, but there's a lot of depth to his character, and just kind of seeing his own growth is something I really liked seeing in Ritsu in particular.
Right on.
Yes. Tell me about Teru.
With
his sick wig.
Yeah.
With his sick hair.
So Teru, as soon as Teru was introduced, I didn't like him much at all. He's just kind of a supreme asshat. And, actually, during an episode in season 1 where it's focused on him and Mob interacting, I turned to Get, and I was like, he's like the Bakugo in this case. And the really nice thing, though, is that Teru is smart and understands. I think when people try to prove a point, he hears them out, and he learns and adjusts accordingly. And his development from going to somebody who thought he knew something and then realizing that he doesn't have all the answers and deciding to support and engage with people that he admires and finds inspiring was just a really, really nice turn of events. His hair is the best. It's iconic. This boy goes on an adventure with his hair, and I love seeing it. I really liked his pretty much the role that they put him in by the end of season 1. It doesn't really carry over into season 2, which is a bummer.
No.
But at the same time, I like his character a lot. Whenever he did show up in season 2, it made me happy. He's got good fashion sense. He's got great hair. He's a nice guy. Also, I love that he, when he doesn't trust somebody, he just immediately puts them to water torture to answer questions, because they did that in season 1, and then when I saw they did it again in season 2, I cracked my ass up. I was like, this is great. This is just a part of his personality. So yeah,
Teru had a very weird field trip when he was in elementary school to Guantanamo Bay.
Probably. It would not surprise me. But yeah, just everything about Teru I think is really enjoyable. I think that he's a lot more of a side character, but he's a great side character. So, yeah.
He's very good. I also love that Teru is a catalyst and a foil to Mob. And in one of the first ones we get to see in season 1. And I think that the way that they handled it was really, really cool. And I love Teru. If anything, I'm just sad we didn't get to see him do as much in season 2. But he still had some really fucking badass scenes, especially when there's this very long extended fight scene. Towards the second half, he's involved in it. It is amazing.
Oh my god, I think I know what you mean. And damn, that was nuts.
That fight, like, he probably had the most involved in that scene up until someone else stepped in.
He's very good. I'm hoping if we get a season 3, he'll get to do some more stuff.
Same.
Get to be. Or come in as a mentor to more psychics, maybe.
Maybe.
'Cause I know that he was helping with some people.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I really liked that at season 1, but we didn't get to see much of it here. But that's okay.
Yeah, they just all kind of assembled at the end, right? Kind of like Psychic Avengers.
Psychic Avengers. That's it.
All right.
Oh my god, Mob Psycho is now in the MCU!
Your soapbox is clearly dusted off and is sparkly and waiting for you, Cassie.
I'm so excited.
Before you begin with that, can I just ask, how did you get, like, did I sell you on this show? How did you, like, approach this show?
What happened was, I tried Mob Psycho around the time that it came out many years ago, and I didn't like the art style. So I stopped watching it because I thought it looked like ass. My opinion on that has sporadically changed, which we'll talk about in production.
Okay.
But I think it was just unsettling for me to get used to, so I rage quit it. Me and my friend Rin, who is a lovely supporter of the podcast, who we love very, very much.
Right.
And she's great. Many kisses to her. She and myself tend to watch anime with each other on Friday nights, and one of the ones she picked was Mob Psycho. So I watched it because Rin sat me down and said, we're going to watch Mob Psycho. And what's really funny is even when I watched it through with her, I was like, this show is really good. But I wasn't, like, as obsessed with it until I watched it again with Lily. So it was like, damn, the show's good. But anyway, one of the reasons why I think the show is very good is because the centerpiece and namesake Mob is such a good goddamn fucking character. He is a very good soft boy. He does his best to subvert tropes, which is really great. I love that one of the first episodes of season 1 was people trying to recruit him for a club. And instead of going with the status quo, he chose to do something for himself that was really outside of his character.
Yes.
Which I thought was a really good first sign that I was going to love and treasure this boy for all my days. But as it went along, he became kind of like... I'm trying to think of, like, another character that does this. It's kind of like...
Tanjiro?
It's kind of like Tanjiro and Kimetsu no Yaiba and, like, other shonen shows. I love the soft protagonist boys who try and empathize with the antagonist and bring them to a better conclusion about themselves or their lives or their circumstances.
Yeah.
But the problem is that he never applies that to himself. Mob is empathetic to a fault. He's empathetic to a point that he has no character, that he's not even an individual. As much as I love him as a character in season 1, I think that they purposely built him up that way. He is a background character in his own show.
Yeah, he's the avatar.
Whereas they completely subvert that in season 2 when people start asking Mob those questions. Not us, the viewer, but people in the actual show are putting him through trials that he never thought he would have to go through. One in particular is a situation that I don't know what I would do. There's a situation where it's, do we side with humans or do we side with supernatural beings who are doing nothing wrong? Like, what is the right choice? What is the moral choice? And it's something that really, stuns him and makes him think about things a lot longer than he would have in season 1. And season 2 also gives him time to reflect on his inner not psychosis, but his inner his powers, his psychic powers, and how he is going to use them. He could use them to hurt people. he could use them to better people. He could choose to not use them at all. And that choice and how he can use, like, how can he can use his experiences to make those right decisions is something that is put into play from the beginning to the end of season 2. But the thing is, they kind of stepped off the gas midway, and I kind of felt like that was unfortunate because I think Mob was making some very interesting strides in his character, and then those kind of took a backseat to a big flashy fight at the end. But you know what? It was still damn good.
Yeah, very well said. Very well said, especially just about the pacing that happened then to the last half. I think
we get to see Mob mad in this season, which
like rage mad.
Yeah.
I think my favorite episode as far as Mob's character development was definitely, I want to say it's episode 5. Against
I believe you're correct.
Yeah, against someone named Mogami. There's a lot of really good like Mob character development there.
I think that like one of my favorite favorite parts of the show is he talks to a specific character and he who hurt him in a way, and he blatantly starts to ask questions like, are you really that kind of person? Like he has agency in his feelings and his emotions more so, because like even in season 1 they tried to play into this aspect that Mob is at the mercy of his percentage level.
Yeah, his
like,
emotions.
He has no agency over his emotions. He just chooses not to feel them at all. And that's a problem. And they actually choose to make that a centerpiece of a lot of the second season. And that's what truly made me fall in love with this show. It's just so good.
Feeling isn't a bad thing. You have to kind of accept them for what it is and kind of grow from them, the experiences and whatnot. You can't, you can't necessarily just kind of roll over sort of thing.
I think we also have to tip our hats to the Body Improvement Club, who had a lot more to do this season than even Teru did, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
I call them the Bancho Bros.
The what?
The Bancho Bros.
I love it.
Because they're bros, but they're all like, look like Bancho thugs, you know? Like, they all have that JoJo's Bizarre Adventure kind of like Yu Yu Hakusho vibe where they're all like, look like they're thugs or gangsters, but no, they're soft boys who also
soft boys, really
ripped.
Good gentlemen.
They're all great.
I just love that they would do anything for Mob. That's all I got.
It's funny to a point too where there's a meme going around on Twitter where it's got an image of like a small boy and then the 3 ripped guys and
on the laptops. Yeah.
Yep. And it's just like, I need to get adjusted to this to the gym, and then it's like, don't worry, bro, we got you. And then someone posted a reaction image of just the Body Improvement Club boys and Mob being in there, squished in the middle, and I'm just like, yes, this is true. And people are like, yo, ripped guys at the gym are the most helpful. I'm like, that's pretty good.
They're just so accepting of like everybody, along with how much they care about Mob. I actually really liked the carryover in this season where we saw Onigawara as a member of the Body Improvement Club as well. Like, that was just a nice little touch. There were a lot of really good touches in this show, just of even background characters, like having their progress carried over from season 1 to season 2.
Can I give shout outs to everyone's favorite Lord Spirit, Dimple?
Yeah, Dimple's great.
Dimple is great, but also sleazy, as I describe him, because he's kind of like Reagan. You don't know it's like his intentions until really kind of like midway through season 2. But I like him. He kind of just reminded me of like, I don't know how to describe it, but he's got Mob's best interests at heart. Also plays a lot into Ritsu's arc in season 1. But
I mean, I will say, when I first watched the show, and I had some impressions like Cassie as far as the art style, like initially when I first watched as well, where I was like, I don't like this art style, and then of course came to my senses later. But I never thought I would like that booger-looking motherfucker as much as I did by by the end of season 2. He's good.
Booger-looking motherfucker.
He looks like a booger.
Booger-looking motherfucker. Try saying that 10 times fast.
No, no. We'll be here all night.
Booger-looking motherfucker. I'm gonna keep that in my back pocket as like an insult to throw at somebody who has no idea what I'm talking about.
You booger-looking motherfucker.
I'm saving that for when I'm at the bar and someone accidentally shoves me. I just turn around.
Do
You
it.
booger-looking motherfucker.
Do it.
It would be great. But yeah, I actually did not like Dimple. Dimple had basically the same effect on me as Reagan.
Yeah.
Only worse. I never trusted that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually I realized, oh no, he's just a tsundere for Mob, basically. He's got to pretend he's evil. Baka.
Like,
you know.
he had a line where Mob kind of stood up for himself without powers or anything. And Dimple kind of just looks over at Mob, and he's just like, "You grew up without me paying any attention. What the hell happened?"
Oh yeah, that was a good line.
He has some very good lines. There's a really massive ensemble cast that we probably won't be able to get into everybody. But there are some characters that are only there for a singular episode who they manage to make me care about. For example, episode 1 of season 2. A girl is introduced. She seems like a one-off joke, but it turns out that she's not, and her passion and Mob's respecting of her passions drove me to tears in an episode. So I think that just kind of shows that the story and character writing in this show is done with such care.
Mm-hmm.
Either that or I'm just a fucking sap. Either is possible.
¿Por qué no los dos?
Porque no las dos.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything in characters?
I don't... Again, I think you talked about it just in the manga. I don't understand or I want to care more about Tsubomi than I do. Just because she feels like a plot device to me, and that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I'd like for us to know more about her, because she seems a lot more, she seems to be way more smart than, what we're initially led to believe about her. And she seems to be more in the know about what's going on with Mob than almost anybody else who isn't directly involved with him. So it's okay, where are you going with this show? Nowhere. Cool, that's fine, I guess.
She's in so few scenes. For who's supposed to be the primary love interest of the main character, she's nowhere to be seen ever, pretty much.
Yeah, I think I get, and it's it's me needing to realize that it's more about Mob's feelings for Tsubomi than Tsubomi herself.
Yeah.
And that is fine, because that's good. Because there was a line in, one of the last episodes where it's, this big impactful moment, and you hear, there's someone I need to, express my feelings to, and I was like, oh, right, I guess, sure. All these other people are around here and, are also a thing that impacts you, but again, it's his feelings, not her necessarily, per se. And... If we get a chance to find out more about her, I would be happy for that.
A good transition into production would be her vegetable-faced friends.
Oh, good shit.
God damn it.
Anybody like broccoli? Because there's sure a lot of it here.
There's the broccoli.
I love my broccoli explosions.
You.
Let's talk about the production of Mob Psycho 2.
Do you want to hear?
Who wants to go?
Do you want to hear the fun facts?
Craig's Credit Corner.
Okay. Director for both seasons, both OVAs, Yuzuru Tachikawa, Death Billiards and Death Parade.
What?
You should. Whoever here hasn't watched either of those, you should watch them.
Don't worry, Death Parade will be a host choice at some point.
I don't know if Death Parade and Billiards were Bones, but after that, they were like, yo, you have style, you should, helm Mob, Bones said, and Tachikawa was like, yes, I will make this, I will make Reagan pretty, I swears. Writer Hiroshi Seko, did Vinland Saga, Banana Fish, and Ajin. All three of them far darker than this show. So
I mean, I don't know about that.
true. Mob does get dark at points. Character designer is Yoshimichi Kameda, the chief. I tried finding other character designs that he did, and he only really worked on character designs for this, a Doraemon movie. You know, the anime cat children's show. Yeah, but he's mostly the chief animation director for Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood and the animation director for One Punch Man. Music is Kenji Kawai. Did the music. This guy has been around for a while. Did the Ghost in the Shell 1995 movie. Did When They Cry. Did Eden of the East. Did Kamen Rider Build. Yo, you should check this. A lot of the music in the show. I tried listening to it. It's pretty good. I like it. It's very atmospheric. And this is based on a manga by One, which actually, fun fact, he did some of the key animations in the last episode of season 1 in the end card.
Did he?
Oh, cool.
Oh, cool.
That's cute.
Yep.
Here's a weird little tidbit about production that I really liked. I loved how they did the eye catch cards this season, where it had that like charcoal pencil look to it, and then it just had like little animations that adhered to whatever was happening in the story. Like, those were really cute. I really, really like those, like, each time.
Yeah.
I really like the opening, and I really like the ending a lot. I think they're really good.
99.9% by the Mob Choir. They also did the opening for season 1. And I like both of them. They're really fucking good. And
they're very uniquely Mob Psycho. Like, the show's there are so many openings that I like, but don't stand out enough for me to remember because they seem very similar to everything else I see. But then you see openings that are truly special, and I think Mob's in there. It's kind of like the same way I feel about the first Dororo opening. Like, there's nothing else like it.
Yeah.
Bring me fire!
Light it up, baby!
Yeah.
Club music.
But yeah.
Club music.
But yeah, like, I think that it's got the same kind of, like, flair. Like, I'm never going to mix up. Like, if we were to play AMQ right now, I would never miss a Mob song.
No.
Because the music is just so unique. The animations in the opening are so unique and so much fun to watch high.
Yeah.
Damn.
I've done it recently, and I gotta say, it's one of the best experiences I've ever had high.
Damn.
Totally recommend. But yeah, the production, the OPs, and the ED is just so goddamn cute.
Yeah.
It's got, like, little chibis. I love it.
Good song, too.
It's a good song. It's a nice, like, palate cleanser after some of the stuff that, you know, the show would end on. I'd be screaming while these, like, soft images were, you know, playing in the background.
I really like the one with Little Mob and Little Ritsu and like their raincoats, and then it played like right at this little vocal rush too, and it always made me really happy.
Good song.
Now here's the question, Cammie. Did the animation style grow on you? Or do you begrudgingly like it now? Or do you love it? Or, like, how do you feel? Because I think we started in a similar place with season 1 of not really being fond of it, but then by the end, I was, like, in love with it.
Yeah, definitely.
I wonder what your thoughts are.
I definitely agree with that. I think... Season 2 even especially, just, like, season 1 is already gorgeous, but season 2 stepped it up, like, insanely. I don't know why. Some of the lines felt a little less bold and a bit more polished, but like not too much where it, you know, got away from the style of the show, but it just felt like there was a little bit more like refinement to it. No, I definitely really liked it. Immediately right off the bat when I started watching it again, I love the colors in this show so much. It's so vibrant. Jesus Christ. Like, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It is beautiful.
I will say one of the reasons why I slept on Mob Psycho initially was because I kind of had this like really dumb opinion of, oh, it's just going to be One Punch Man but ugly, and just once I actually started watching it, I was like, no, the art style takes a bit to get used to, but the actual animation is still really good, pretty fluid when it needs to be, and just it's also a very different story to One Punch Man.
To One Punch, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because the character designs themselves look so very simple.
Mm-hmm.
And yet the way they move and the way that, like, facial expressions, especially on Reagan. Reagan has the best fucking animated faces. But, like, they seem so simple and almost kind of like I don't mean like cardboard cutout as in they're like cardboard cutout characters, like in regards to their personalities, but they look like somebody went in and cut out characters from like a book, like kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Like they even have like this edgy like pointiness to their character designs.
Yeah, kind of sharp edges.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because they move those sharp edges very fluidly, especially when there's like a fight scene or a dynamic moment. Almost all of Mob's explosions, quote unquote, or inner turmoil scenes are basically just pure Sakuga.
Yeah.
Literally, the animation just bleeds out the screen. It's just nothing but hard lines, hard, scratchy, black and white lines.
I'm pretty sure people who like main on Sakuga boards were having a lot of fun with this show because there's a lot of Sakuga everywhere.
Just in the animation itself too, like the movement is just insane. Again, even more so I think in this season. The specific fight involving Teru that you brought up before, Cassie, that was just insane. Like when I was watching it and I was like, how in the hell could they even like picture this to begin like animating it? Because there's a lot about appearing and disappearing and like predictive stuff. Like I'm like, they knew where the camera was gonna go. They like made it dynamic as shit. They knew this character is gonna come and do this. It's insane. Like it was so fucking
they're flexing
good.
Their muscles. Flexing their animation
cinematography in the show is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But to say cinematography, choreography, especially like the fight sequences in season 2, like without going too deep into it, Dimple possessing certain characters and then they actually like having to punch and kick and sort of stuff against certain individuals, and I'm like, wow, that's fluid as fuck. Like in a sense where I'm like, I haven't seen fluidity on this par since like Devilman Crybaby back in the day, and I'm like, nice.
Delicious.
Yes.
Finally some good fucking food.
Exactly.
Yeah. I also agree with Cammy. I forgot to mention this earlier about the color palette. I like that they always know whether to make things look nice and happy. There are like some shoujo bubbles occasionally. There's a lot of softness, but when things get dark, like they aren't afraid to like completely change like the color palette of the entire show to suit the mood.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for more Mob forever.
Are you gonna watch the second OVA?
I mean, probably.
There you go. It's readily available.
I haven't gotten to it yet, but I have rewatched season 1, and I'll probably rewatch season 2 if we get a season 3. God help me.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's something else I wanted to talk about in production, but I forgot. So if anybody else wants to step up to the plate while I try and beat my noggin in, go ahead.
Japanese voice cast is pretty fucking rock solid. I don't know any of the actors or actresses' names, but good on you. And Cass, I know for fun fact in the English, the English voice actor Kyle MacLaury for 9S is Mob.
9S is Mob, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't watched the English dub. I want to. But yeah, I heard that 9S did Mob, and I'm like, oh no, one of my beautiful sons is another one of my beautiful sons.
Something I did pick up. Speaking of the voice actors, Dimple is voiced by Ryder from Fate Zero.
What?
Akio Utsaka?
Yeah.
I can't talk.
Yeah.
That's insane, and I love it. Oh, man. I remember I mentioned to Cassie when we were watching the first episode of season 1 that Reagan's voice actor, the legendary Takahiro Sakurai, is the teacher in March Comes In Like a Lion, which is funny because they're just two very different kinds of older men that advise young men. So that was funny. He also was funny. He was Misaki. He's like the very stereotypical uke from that old yaoi show Junjo Romantica. So there you go.
Mob surprisingly hasn't done a lot. The guy who or girl. Hold on, let me pull them up. There we go. Oh, it's Setsuo Ito. They haven't done a whole lot.
Which is really cool because they did a great job with Mob's voice.
Yeah, they only have like a few listings here. They were a main character and anime guitarist.
Anime guitars, right? I remember that show.
Guitars. And then they were supporting roles in Captain Tsubasa and the Junji Ito collection. And then they were a supporting role in something called Poopipo.
Poopipo?
Poopipo. And that's it. That's all they got. Their biggest main role is Mob. So that's pretty rad.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see them in more stuff.
I hope they get some more work. But yeah, I haven't watched the English dub. I probably will my next watch through of Mob. Why not?
There you go. Go for it. You do own the Blu-rays. I bought them for you.
I have the Blu-rays of season 1 at least.
Yep.
But yeah, do you guys want to get to final thoughts and ratings?
Yes,
sure.
ma'am.
Let's do it.
Okie dokie, I'm going to go eeny, meeny, miny, cammy.
Alrighty. Probably short and sweet and to the point. This show is a goddamn treat, like on every single aspect. It has amazing characters. It has good comedy that works. Once you are accustomed to the art, if it takes you a minute, whatever, but like once you get into it, it's got bombastic, amazing art, amazing production, really good story, and it's just a super enjoyable watch. Like there is just, and I also feel like this is kind of a show that almost anybody can watch and very much enjoy. Like it's not one of those niche picks for me, unless maybe like it's a person that doesn't watch anime all the time. But like if you're a standard anime watcher, like just and you haven't watched this yet, go watch it. You will enjoy it. It's very, very good. Mob Psycho 100, both seasons get a love it from me.
Yeah! Damn.
It's especially worth it for Cassie squawking.
I was so excited. I wasn't expecting that. Squawk. I'm just gonna sit here teeming in my joy. John, go.
So yeah, I slept on this when it first started airing, both times, both season 1 and season 2, and I ended up watching them both back to back for this episode because Cassie did convince me I should watch it, and this was my excuse to actually kick myself in the butt and actually watch it. And now I'm kicking myself for not watching it sooner because I super enjoyed this so much. There's a lot of really likable characters. When the fights kick into gear, the Sakuga is just like, so good. There's just so much to like about this series that I too give both season 1 and season 2 a love it.
Hey!
Squawk!
I'm so excited! Craig! Go!
Squawk!
Squawk!
Short and sweet and to the point. I am not nearly as into the show as everyone seems to be, which is fine. I really like the show. I think it is like, not necessarily, it's, god damn it, I can't words. I like the fact that we now have a bunch of shonen protagonists that aren't loud and yell their feelings, but they are quote-unquote soft boys. You have your Tanjiros, you have your Dekus, now you have your Mobs. I can't wait to see what happens in Season 3. It takes a good look at changing oneself for the better. You know, we can change, we can grow, that sort of stuff. The animation's fluid. It steps it up. Albeit both seasons do kind of rinse and repeat of their back halves rather than the last three-fourths, which is kind of in my opinion. I kind of wish we had more introspective character development for Mob for season 2, but both very enjoyable and readily available to watch. So I like this, and I can't wait to see more.
No squawks for you.
Okay, I understand. Do you want a cracker? Do you want a cracker?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you gonna give me one?
I will. Not now, but later.
Really?
Yeah. I have chips, unfortunately. They aren't crackers.
That's not a cracker!
Well...
You promised me a cracker!
Alright, I will try and find crackers later. We don't have crackers in the house, but we can get crackers later. Cass, you don't.
Sorry,
Cass, you don't.
You can cut this part.
You don't even need to have your rating. Let's be real. We already know what your rating is, so.
I'm allowed to. Are you trying to take my moment?
Your moment's already predetermined and predestined. We already know what you're gonna give it.
That's just rude.
Can we just say Cassie laughed because of the stupid picture I put in chat?
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, it's accurate.
Did you actually post a picture of the cracker in the chat?
No.
Craig,
look.
You'll just have to look. While Craig looks, I'll get to my reading. I am actually a little bit happy that I slept on Mob Psycho for as long as I did because I watched it
That's good.
at the perfect time in my life that I needed to see it. I think that even though there are moments in the show that may have not been absolutely perfect, it was as close to perfect of an experience as I could have wanted in a sitting, especially going in expecting the show to be something that it completely ended up not being. I expected Mob Psycho to be a comedy, maybe because I knew it was from the same author as One Punch Man, and from what I understand of One Punch Man, it does have some darker themes, but it never goes this deep into character introspection. So that's not what I was expecting when I finally sat down and said, okay, Rin, you win. We'll sit down and watch this. And then I found out that it was one of the most heartwarming shows that I've watched in the last fucking decade. It made me feel things about the people around me that I didn't think that I would feel. Like, I'm actually applying, like, the psychology that I learned from Mob Psycho when I'm interacting with my friends now. Like, it's okay for me to be selfish, and it's okay for me to express how I feel. Which actually has happened a lot in the last couple of weeks. I've had to have that introspective look with myself and say, hey, your thoughts and feelings and opinions matter too. And you're the main character of your own story, and you need to step up and start acting like it, you little bitch. To me, not Mob. But he has a similar path, and I think that that's such a humanizing thing that we don't see in anime enough. I think that Mob Psycho is a gem. I think there's nothing else like it, and I think that it deserves every last ounce of praise it's ever gotten. It's not something I just love. It's like one of my favorite animes, period, and I love it because it's the best. And Mob's the best.
Who could have foresaw
and you're the
this?
best.
Who could have foresaw this? We all did. I love this image, by the way.
I mean, I'm just gonna save it because, like, I'm a little tilted that Green didn't get a burn it and Mob Psycho didn't get a love it. Craig's just here disappointing me every day.
It's, I'm not gonna lie, it's tempting me to make it the thumbnail on SoundCloud.
Don't do it.
That'll
do it.
confuse the fuck out of our listeners. It's like
They're already confused.
That's fair.
All right, listeners, for you, so Craig doesn't have to go back and randomly cut stuff. We will post a link to the image that Cammie posted in our Discord chat in regards to my feelings and responses to Craig not loving Mob Psycho.
That's why you follow our Twitter for the good meme content.
This is why
true.
I don't express my opinion, and I'm not the main character in my story. I reserve my opinions and thoughts to myself and internalize them until I literally blow up in a fume of smoke in my room in rage.
Was gonna say, are you at 100%, Craig?
I'm
You okay, buddy?
I'm probably hitting 99.
Oh,
99!
come on.
Good opening.
We all have fun here.
Are you sure?
I'm not actually mad.
Are you sure?
I am legitimately mad about Green.
No.
Don't get me wrong.
No, you're
I'll
not.
never forgive you
No,
for
you're
that.
not.
I will never forgive you.
Green.
Never.
Green was a great experience because me and Lily had to see your guys' great reactions.
The sentence Green was a great experience
experience.
should never be uttered in that order.
No.
I mean, it was a great experience
Stop!
in the sense that we get to see your guys' reactions.
Craig's a troll. Craig is a low, like, he hides. He pretends to be this nice dude, but he's secretly here for the memes. He secretly is just here to be a troll.
I'm the trash man.
Anyway, so that's 3 love it's and a like it, and I gotta admit that's more than I thought I would get, and I'm really excited and happy that so many people enjoyed watching Mob.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me happy and joyfully dancing across the outline to find our stuff. Okay, if you like us, you like what you've heard, and you also just want to see what pictures we post in Craig and other people's general directions, you can follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AnnieChatbox. We update a lot of our stuff there. Our fellow host who isn't here today tends to take care of that social media, so you can definitely go ahead and follow us there and see all of the good content, what we're going to be reviewing, what changes may be coming in the future, all that good shit. If you want to write a long, lengthy email to us telling us how Craig is wrong, you can do so at anniechatmail@gmail.com.
God forbid
I'm writing one right now.
God forbid I have a fucking opinion.
Shots fired.
You know what? I should have just said burn the show. Burn it to the ground.
Don't do that!
Okay, no, we're about to go into the spoiler room, Craig, and I will tell you why you are tilting me right now.
The tilt.
Oh, wow.
tilt!
Wow, I actually didn't intend on that. That's
God damn it,
pretty good.
Craig.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah. Cass now got it. The cogs in her brain finally kicked in.
Good shit.
Actually, write us an email talking about how much we love and respect Craig because he edits all of our episodes and shows up and is very honest with all of his opinions. We can forgive him for everything except Green. But yeah, if you want to write us an email, you can do so. If you're listening to us on one thing, you can listen to us on many others. We are on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, Spotify, and the U of the Tubes. If you'd like to throw us a little bit of money, you can do so at patreon.com/AnnieChatbox. We have some really cool Patreon tiers, and coming in the new year, we're going to be trying to work harder to make sure that we get you guys those rewards that you deserve. So far, we have some really cool and wonderful patrons who support us and keeping the lights on here in this teeny tiny space. They include Sarah, CorpsyAnn, Carol, Suki, Paul, and TroubleClef. And this week, I will remember to plug our One-san podcast, like I didn't last week, I believe.
You did not. I did it.
You did.
I did
I'm
it.
so proud of you, Craig. But this week, I do think that they deserve to have that plug, and they are at Save Our Progress, soundcloud.com/saveourprogress,
Yay.
where you can go and listen to their opinions on Promare if you weren't done listening to ours.
Yeah.
You can go listen to some more opinions on Promare. They also did a really fun conversation about movies that I listened to this past week at work. They talked about Joker, Ad Astra, the Steven Universe movie, and I think I'm forgetting one.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
That's it. That'll do it. But yeah, it's really fun to listen to, even if you're not particularly familiar with some of the movies there. They have a really nice talking style over there. You guys should listen to them. They also do anime movie nights if you want some more weeb shit.
Can't get enough of that weeb shit.
I'm not a weeb.
I think you guys have a new one coming up in a couple of weeks for Spooktober, right? You guys are doing a Resident Evil?
Yes. That can't be announced because it should be released the same time that this goes live on SoundCloud as well. So look forward to that.
Yeah. I will definitely be listening to it. I will not watch the movie, but I will listen to you guys talk about it because it'll be fun.
Oh, it did not age well. Let me just tell you that.
Oh, that'll be fun. So yeah, definitely. If you love also listening to Craig, he's on that other podcast, soundcloud.com/saveourprogress, basically every week. Also, if you're a fan of our guest host, Zach, who comes on occasionally and screams about Ikuhara, he also front runs Save Our Progress. So give them a listen. They're really cool dudes. All right. So everybody who doesn't want to be spoiled on Mob Psycho, I need you to exit stage left.
See you later.
Snagglepuss.
But yeah, I'm excited to be here with you guys so we can just chat about a few things that we may have liked, not liked, in more detail. Also, Craig, please don't be tilted. I actually don't care that you didn't give it a love it. I'll get over it.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
We're all the protagonists of our own story. Cammy, tell me about the fire.
Oh,
fire.
yeah, just fucking tilt me by saying you're gonna burn everything to the ground when fucking Mob thought his entire family burned to the ground, which was just so upsetting. And I can totally imagine watching it weekly, that must have been really fucking stressful.
Yeah,
because they heavily implied, because there was they showed a burning carcass.
Yeah.
It does,
in the flame. So it's somebody died.
it does cuts between that and Mob's meter going up, 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 and then it hits question marks.
To the room, and then it's just oh fuck, he's gonna explode. Shit.
And in the next episode, he is literally just nothing but rage. His hair is all spiked. I'm like, I kind of like this look on you, kid. Your hair is cool. Your hair is cool. Keep it.
I do
Which is really funny because, lately Craig's been doing this thing where he spikes his hair.
Craig, are you mobbing it up?
It's nowhere near as cool as this. Let's be real. I can never spike my hair. Cool.
I mean, I think it looks cute on you.
Yeah, I've seen your hair in cool spikes before. I actually really was impressed with Dimple in the next episode. While I don't think it was fully wise to tell Mob that they might still be alive when he wasn't sure, I was proud of him for saying hey, snap out of it. Look at me. Look at what I'm telling you. And then he got scared, but he still persisted because he knew that Mob wouldn't want to break. And then Mob is crying and he's like, "Thank you for stopping me." And I was just like, "Oh, good shit. Good shit."
The cop-out, though, that it ended up being his parents just got sent to a fucking,
right?
Yeah, it's sending him to Hawaii or some shit.
Yeah, I was, so tilted.
And then, bless Mob again for being forgiving, but, he doesn't even give Sho, any shit for doing this thing that, potentially broke him forever. He's at least, wasn't it Sho? Because didn't they kind of imply, he's oh, I left something there, for him to see.
Oh, yeah. And
fuck,
then,
man.
And then Ritsu was like, wait, you did what?
Mm-hmm.
The fuck you doing to my baby bro? Or my older bro? They both baby bros, let's be real.
Yeah.
They're both babies. I really like the episode where, oh god, I can't remember her name, but there was a girl who was possessed by Mogami, I believe.
Minori?
Yeah, the purple-haired girl.
Minori.
Yeah, and there was a scene, basically there's an entire episode where Mob is without his friends and he's being bullied, extremely bullied, and he's able to get out of that by learning that he doesn't want to hurt others, even at the expense of his own, his own pain.
Yeah, that's.
And I thought that was really cool and empowering, but I think the part that made me cry was afterwards he goes up to this girl and he's like, are you really like that? Is this the kind of person you actually are? And she was like,
yes.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. And I, like, burst into baby tears. So I was like,
Proving that,
Yeah.
she does regret the fact that she was kind of a bitch and a gossip and did nothing but be mean towards people. But she's kind of bad. The framing of that whole entire arc is interesting in the fact that Mob tries to go and exorcise, like, deep dive, exorcise this evil spirit from her. But then the evil spirit turns the tables on Mob, stripping him of his powers and just isolating him in an alt world of his own. And then it turns into a giant kaiju fight, which is pretty cool in the animation department. But yeah, the ending of that, like, entire arc with her, Minori, is poignant because people can change.
Yeah.
If you realize that if you fucked up and you're affecting those around you, you need to take a long look at yourself and be like, it wasn't worth it to pick on this kid.
Yeah. That one was probably my favorite episode as far as Mob's own, like, coming to terms with things in his development. Oh man, another moment I loved, though, that I really wasn't expecting was in the last episode or the second to last episode, I can't remember which, but basically where Mob is, like, overtaken by his power and, like, the antagonist guy is provoking him. He's like, you actually like this too. You like being able to just, like, be crazy and destroy shit. And then Mob sees his brother and he, like, has a little meltdown and he's like, oh, how could I do this? Oh my gosh. And he, like, remembered what happened before and he broke out of it. I was like, what a fucking good, incredible boy you are, Mob. You are so good.
He is a good boy.
I liked episode 7. Basically, the conclusion of the Reagan arc. Cammy reminded me of just the lines that Reagan says. During the press conference, Reagan says, just breaks character. Everyone finds out that he's a fraud, essentially. And he's like, just breaks character, says, you're really grown up, haven't you? Because he realizes in that moment, but in episode 6, he and Mob split ways because he relies on Mob too much. And Mob's like, I'm over this shit. I need to actually have a social life, and you're calling me at your beck and call. I'm not your dog. I'm not your doormat. I need to actually have a social life. You know, there's tests and shit. I gotta do schoolwork. And then Reagan's like, well, without Mob around, then I'm a sad boy, and I'm lonely, and I drink alone. This is fucking depressing, and it's my birthday. And then he realizes that he needs Mob. And then when Mob sees him on the bridge, he says, I always knew. I knew that my master was a good guy. Because then you had the flashback sequence with Mob and Reagan. And baby Mob is like, I need help with controlling my power because when I lose control, I get scary. And I don't like that feeling. And Reagan's like, yes, he gives him some advice, and then you realize, Reagan's actually a half-decent human being. What the fuck?
Which is really funny because at the beginning of that, like, 2-episode arc, I hated. Like, it was a really low point for my feelings about Reagan because the thing is, he doesn't even, like, just try and own Mob's time. He blatantly says to Mob, nobody wants to be friends with you.
Yeah.
You can just get new friends. They're all superficial. They don't really like you. Like, he's so possessive and asshole-ish to a point when Mob stands up for himself and leaves him in the gate. Like, I was relishing in Reagan's pain. I'm like, good for you! Like, you deserve to, like, actually have consequences for your actions when you hurt the one person who was accepting of you. But I do think that Mob was the one who, like, intervened and, like, made it look like he still had some sort of powers, which implies that from the get-go, he knew that Reagan had no supernatural powers.
Basically.
Yeah.
So there's a level of acceptance there on an entirely new level that we get from a very small interaction. And I think that just is another reason why I love Mob Psycho so much, because it speaks so much it speaks so much more powerfully in its moments where it doesn't tell you everything. And it's really cool.
Yeah.
I also just want to say
that whole arc was good.
I like how Mob's powers differ slightly greatly depending on which of his emotion is coming out at a time. And this goes back to season 1 as well, where the first time it was just like raw, I'm going to beat this guy up kind of thing, but then the second time it was fixing the damage that had been done, and then you had
with sadness.
Yeah, and then you had the time where it was like, oh, leave it to Reagan, and then he's just like giving all of his power to Reagan.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point, actually. I hadn't thought about that too much.
And there's an entire section of season 2 where he has to choose if he can use his powers for for hope or anger.
Yep.
And it's there's that choice.
Episode 3, where it deals with the ghost family. The college students say, "Yo, you should totally ice these spirits," and Mob's like, "I don't."
But they didn't do anything wrong.
Do it,
and even
do it, you coward.
And even
do it.
Dimple tries to egg the father ghost on into okay, give Mob a reason to do this, and even then the father's like, please, just
we're good.
Leave us be.
We'll leave. We'll fade away eventually. Just let us go. And Reagan, in that moment, is like, shit, this kid is literally in middle school. He's not really... Because Mob's always been different from everyone. He can view good spirits as equals to humans. So he's like, I don't want to have to harm humans, nor do I want to harm an innocent ghost. And Reagan's like, this kid's in middle school. He doesn't need to be judge, jury, and execution over this bullshit. This is above him.
There was also that the moment with Reagan writing that fake curse on a book note, and then only afterwards realized, hang on, me just doing that just seemed like nothing to me, but this is me dabbling with shit that is actually really close to Mob. How is it bothering him? It's clearly showing it's having a bigger effect on him than I'm realizing.
Yep.
And it was moments like that kind of made me think, okay, you actually, when you realize that you're fucking up, you do have a bit of a better head on your shoulders, right?
Yeah, basically.
Can we just talk about this line that to me is delivered in such a throwaway way, and it really tilts me? And it's between Sho and Ritsu, and then Sho is just like, yo, your latent power that you're developing is gonna surpass your brother's. And I was like, what the fuck? And we're just not gonna touch on that at all? Okay.
Nope. No.
Okay.
Never.
That sounds
not today at least.
That sounds like a huge fucking plot point in the future, but okay. Just drop it there. I don't know.
It's funny because there's obviously more arcs, and we get introduced to one of the members of Claw that turns good. The guy, I forgot his name, but the Paracel guy. He eventually works for Reagan, and I hear that. I hear that he gets way more exposure in future arcs. But I actually forgot about that throwaway line, and you're right. That is kind of odd. That. It'd be like, yo, Ritsu, you're even more powerful than your brother, who has a literal split personality that could probably go nuclear.
Well, and I mean, thank God Ritsu didn't hear that in, season 1, because that would be really bad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
His ego.
Yeah. Serizawa, too, we only got a little bit of him. I did kind of like the resolve that Mob is just, I can relate, and I'm giving these feelings back to you as friendship. That whole bit was nice.
Ah, yeah, that's his name, Serizawa.
Mm-hmm. That was nice.
Also, the antagonist's reason for being bad is just very interesting.
Wasn't it that he was obsessed with power, and then his wife left him because he was just all obsessed with power?
Basically, that's the summary of, the short way of looking at it. It's hard to, really explain, but he got too obsessed with his job and with wanting to be more than he was,
Yeah.
that he basically lost sight of everything that he actually loved.
Yeah.
Because he loved his son, he loved his wife,
Yeah.
but in his pursuit for power, he completely lost sight of everything that he was even trying to seek power for.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really deep and really cool, and they should have taken more time to look at, because I feel like his section, like his story, was very fast forwarded through.
Yeah.
I do like how it's explained. I do like that they feed us the information. I do like that Sho goes and talks to his father in the end.
Yeah,
And it's like,
doesn't he
hey-
say that the mom misses you or some shit like that, right?
Yeah, he's like, yeah, mom misses you. I'll let her know you're okay, basically.
Also, the fact that he didn't realize that Sho was still seeing his mother. It's like, I'm sorry that you didn't get to see your mother. And it's like, no, I'm seeing her all the time. You just don't notice.
You're
what?
just
Yeah.
so far out of touch.
I also love that sort of fuck you moment that the wife had with him when he said, people are drawn to those with power. And she's like, you're sure of this, yeah? Yeah, it's absolute truth. Okay, fuck you. Bye.
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 And
Yep.
he just
Bye,
sort of
Felicia.
stares at the door blankly. It's like, did that really just happen?
Yeah, damn right it did. Shit.
She left me.
I love his wife, and I haven't seen her for more than 3 seconds. Like, she was just such, like, because there's, like, it's just a really powerful scene in general to me, because so many women who are in those kind of relationships would not just walk away.
Yeah.
So it was nice to have this powerful, like, woman, even though we never see her for more than 5 seconds, like, make a stand and move. Because, like, this show is a primarily male cast. So it's nice that the few female characters that we get are, outside of Tsubomi maybe, are really interesting and complex. Like, for example, the young lady who was possessed by Megami, like, she was really interesting.
Yeah.
And she also makes choices to better herself after she sees the consequence. That's this show, like, this season to me seems like a lot. They're putting a lot of stock in, you need to realize the consequences of your actions. And how they're not going to only just affect other people, but in Mob's case, himself. Like, you need to value yourself more.
Yep. You need to value your
'Cause-
place in the world, that sort of shit.
Yeah, because the stuff that you choose to do is not just going to affect everybody who's around you, but yourself as well. So, good stuff.
Cass,
Are there any other spoilers you guys want to get to? Because we've been talking for a long time.
tell me about the book.
The book?
Yeah. The novelist girl in episode 1 that made you cry.
Oh my god. Okay, so this girl was dating Mob basically because of a dare. But she likes writing novels, and her bitchy friends basically find out about her novel and, like, tear it up. And he even though she's already at this point admitted to him that she lied to him and she never really had any interest in him and she was just dating him on a whim and as a joke, he still picks up the pieces of her novel, like, piece by piece, and tries to put it back together because he says there's value. You have to pick up the things that are important to you.
Mm-hmm.
And he has this genuine moment of, like doing something nice for somebody else, but he also was touched by her situation. Like, he was crying putting it back together. Like, he saw the cruelty in her situation and felt such empathy that he was moved to make an action that he may not normally do.
Yeah.
So, fuck me. It's the big sad. Cry, cry.
Proving that his power can recreate things, not just destroy, but recreate.
Yeah, because they also,
Yes.
after all the bits get blown away in the wind, and she's like, oh, that sucks. Well, I can write it again. I can write it. And he just was like, nah, but here, I got this. Even though up until
got
that
you,
point,
boo.
he had been keeping his powers secret from her.
Yeah, I think it's really sweet. I also think it's cute that she does develop an actual genuine crush on him after that.
Yep.
It's nice to see somebody have a romantic interest in Mob because he's a good boy.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't highlight this in production, and I wanted to, so I'll just say it here. All the times that Mob was like running or attempting to do anything athletic, and for some reason they put a lot of animation quality into like showing him fucking fail. I was just like, this is such a goddamn mood.
It's good stuff. I love it.
I think there's a point where he like goes to kick a soccer ball and completely misses or something.
Charlie Brown's it.
Oh,
Yeah.
The only last thing I wanted to reference, and it's more of that's a cute reference, is the ending when he takes on the bomb and the explosion literally creates a giant broccoli.
Yeah, the moment the moment we got the clear look at the broccoli, I was like, "Oh, the fucking broccoli seeds he had in his breast pocket." That explains. Yeah. Although it, for some reason, didn't click in my head that was why he had the hole in his chest. At least.
Yeah.
Uniform.
And it's also in opening 1. The explosion that turns into a broccoli.
I think that was my big thing, was I was like, okay, so this is why the broccoli's been in like both of the openings. Okay, yeah. I get it. I thought it was like some strange aesthetic choice, but now I see. I see what they were doing.
Wait,
and
why
it's
was
cool.
that in the opening to season 1 when it only happens at the end of season 2? But oh well, it leads up to it.
I just realized that's why there are cherry tomatoes in opening 1 too. Ah!
Oh yeah. Okay. I want to go back and rewatch the first opening to see what else about season 2 is hinted at in season 1 in the opening.
I love how fucking excited Reagan gets over vegetables. He's just like, we're gonna do one of those crop shares, and we're just and we're gonna be able to afford our own food, and then see how long that lasted.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's about it for me.
Same.
All right, cool. Well, I had fun talking about the show with you guys. I'm happy that everybody had an enjoyable experience, because this is a show that means a whole lot to me. I kind of get why Cammie is very on the fence about putting shows up for review that mean so much to her.
It's scary. It's scary, boo.
Because I went into this and I'm like, am I going to be sad if somebody didn't like Mob Psycho? Probably. But everybody liked it, so I'm happy. I did. I actually did, because I actually had no idea what John's thoughts were. And to be fair, I knew Cammie was at least kind of enjoying it, but I didn't ask her too much. So I was like, okay, brace yourself for the worst. And then I was so excited that everybody at least liked it, if not loved it. So I'm so happy.
Good.
I'm going to have a good night.
There you go.
But yeah, thank you guys at home for joining us. If you're still with us, again, go check out Save Our Progress if you want to do that, if you're into that kind of shit. And if you want to hear more of us, we'll be back next week.
Woot.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Spooky.
Spooky boogie.